Assalamu alaikum.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to have with us Zee the Cook this morning. Welcome
Thank you
to
for
our
having
program,
me.
Zee.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Really looking forward to learning a bit about who you are and what you do. So without further ado, could you please tell us who is Zee?
I'm Zee. My name is Zee Shami. I'm a chef and I'm the owner of Zee the Cook Culinary Studio. Zee the Cook Culinary Studio is a program, cooking classes, baking classes. We work on a lot of social experiences and life skills. So it's a way to get people together. It's a way to get people enjoying things hands-on together, getting to know one another in a very safe and clean environment. Yeah, and it's really exciting.
Now you say safe and clean environment. I bet that takes on a different context when you're in the kitchen cooking, right?
You know what? Not really, because the reason I mentioned it and I put so much focus on it is because I'm a clean freak, and so even though when I'm cooking, I'm always cleaning as I go, and I teach my students to do the same thing. It does get kind of, messy in the kitchen. You're chopping, you're mixing sauces and things like that. I'm still pretty adamant about cleaning as I go and making sure everything's very nice and clean and safe. So, but I have had chefs that I've worked with who are like disasters in the kitchen. I mean, it's their zone, but they have no care about what kind of mess they're leaving, and that's okay too. So whatever works for everybody.
And this is really hands-on for the people that are in your workshops, right?
Very hands-on. So I'm not only demonstrating while they watch and take notes. No, they're actually at the same time that I'm demonstrating, they're hands-on, they're chopping, instructions. At times I will demonstrate and then say, all right, everyone, you're on your own, and people can get as creative as they like. They can maybe chop or slice a certain vegetable or ingredient the way they want to. So it's all about creativity in our kitchen and about trying to figure out what will satisfy your taste buds. So
That's beautiful. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you why you became a chef, Zee, but I'd like to know a bit about Zee, the human being, the Muslim. I take it you're from Dearborn, Michigan, right?
that's right. I was born and raised in Dearborn, and I am still residing in Dearborn today.
Okay. And so, can you tell us a bit about your history?
Sure.
Were your parents were they also from Dearborn?
Of course. So my father and my mother, they were born, and and then they came to the United States when my father was around 25 years old. He came to the United States. My mom came. They built a family here together. They've been here over 35 years, and they had 5 kids, and we were brought up in a very, I would say, conservative household. My parents are religious. They are pretty strict, but at the same time, my dad is very sophisticated and very wise, and he likes to open our minds to new religions, so we are educated and aware, which kept that feeling that I'm so proud to be a Muslim. So I think it was only a few years ago that I was thinking to myself, I'm really, really grateful and thankful that I am a Muslim. And I respect all religions. I respect all cultures. So with my business too, it's like I'm very happy to show the diversity, and to show very proud to where I come from and my roots.
Well, mashallah, I mean, with cooking and with being Muslim, you bring the diversity of a very universal message with a
Yes.
very universal need. We all have to eat, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, subhanAllah, you're bringing the Islamic concept of being open, engaging others, inviting others to learn about who we are.
100%.
And you're doing that with something that's so basic. You bring the love of cooking into what you do. So,
Yeah.
how is that unique to what you're doing? I know there's a lot of chefs out there that are doing similar things. What's unique about your twist?
So what's unique about my twist? Number one, because this is relatable to everything. We are very picky about what ingredients we're using, where we're getting it from. The butcher is actually my dad's brother. He's owned his own meat market for over 20 years. He does the butchering himself. So whether I'm having, a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu or any kind of religion or anyone who doesn't have religion, no matter who my students are, they're still getting halal food. They're still getting the food that I would eat. So if I'm not eating it, they're not eating it. So it's basically, because of that. And then what makes my business specifically unique is the fact that we're actually teaching kids and teenagers how to cook. And that is something no one around me is doing. I'm very blessed that this is something that took over my life and that I'm in charge of that. The kids in the community and the teens in the community, they all know me. I know them on a personal level. We've been able to build these amazing relationships, and I know that they might not feel the benefits of what they're receiving from me today, but I know when they're in college or they're raising their own family, everything's going to start to click for them, and they're just going to be like, oh my God, when Zee taught me this at like age 8, now I know why she taught me this, because now I'm using it at an older age. So that I'm working with kids and teenagers, it's very unique, and teaching them those life skills. And then also we do corporate events, so adults can come together like with their team outside of the office and do something to bond and to build relationships outside of work. So that's also something else that I do that's very unique.
So again, you really do teach life skills. I know that it seems like a long time ago, but when I went away to college,
Yeah.
I would come home on the weekends and my mom, bless her soul, she would, 2 suitcases of food, right, that I would take away and put it in the
Take
freezer.
this out. Yeah. Oh my
Exactly.
God.
So, it was wonderful when I learned to cook myself. And, my
Sure.
wife's not here, so she can't comment.
Yeah.
But, I do like being in the kitchen, not just to eat, but I do like to experiment. I do like to help out with the cooking or the cleaning. But it taught me responsibility that, hey, if I didn't do this, there was nobody that was going to help me. So I can,
And you're
that
going to be eating
message.
outside food, right? You're going to be eating outside
Exactly.
food. You don't really know what's out there. You don't know who's touching your food. You don't know where it's coming from.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I will go to restaurants, of course, here and there, but I think I keep it to a limit because I really just want to feel healthy and I always want to know what I'm eating.
Well, and that brings me back. So that level of knowing where your food is from, being involved in the cooking, teaching life skills,
Exactly.
helping children become empowered to look
Yeah.
after themselves.
To take care of
brings me back
themselves.
to something that you said earlier, which I thought was really interesting. So, as a Muslim, you bring in the element of, hey, this is halal, so as Muslims, we're eating halal. Now you're working with non-Muslims, you're working with Hindus, Christians, Jews. This is incredible because it's great interfaith. But how are your clients and your co-chefs in the kitchen, do they know that they're eating halal food? And how do they respond to that?
They're very aware. They're very aware of my beliefs. They're very aware of, how I like things done and about the cleanliness that we had mentioned and about the meat that we're using. They feel good. They actually feel really confident that Zee is getting the best quality ingredients into the studio. She's only offering her students the best, the best of the best. I'm at the grocery stores at 7 o'clock in the morning looking for the best quality. I'm not waiting until everyone has touched their vegetables. I'm literally the first one there when they open, and I'm getting the first pick of everything with the best quality. And I'm telling you, I am really picky, but for good reason. I've been to many restaurants where even high-end restaurants, you'll walk into the kitchen and you'll just be like shocked at what you're seeing. And I have always said before I had my studio, my future kitchen is going to be spotless. And we have so much traffic, thank God. Like every day we have events happening and so many things. But then once you look at the studio, like 10 minutes after each event, it just looks spotless and clean. That's the whole point. So I think it gives my employees and my students that confidence. Zee's really taking care of us. She really cares, So.
And so when you're talking about cleanliness, when you're talking about being picky,
Tahara, Tahara.
Tahara, so the purity, and so I mean you're bringing into it that we know what we're eating, we know what we're ingesting. A lot of the times, it's like you're saying, you could even go to a high-end restaurant. I know I'm in Canada. Recently, there was a study done about the types of fish that we bought and how we're being duped, right? We're told that we're buying high-end fish like bass, but they're really selling us tilapia, but we're paying the price for bass. So you just don't know what you're getting at restaurants. And there's a lot of horror stories about people doing things at restaurants, right? Now, I go to restaurants too, but I'm very picky. I have one or two restaurants I go to, and we're
Sure.
limited here in London, Ontario, as opposed to Dearborn.
Okay.
So, we do have to be very careful with what we're ingesting. So, I do, that resonates with me as well. So let me ask you, you talk about your upbringing, you talk about why food is important and why the safety and the purity and the blessedness of the process and the what you're using. Is that from your personal upbringing? Did you go to culinary school? Where did your love for cooking and all this come from?
So my love for cooking actually stemmed from my love for the people in my life. My husband is, I would say, the main source of the reason why I started to really start cooking. I've actually been married twice, and my husband right now, who is my, the amazing husband, we purchased a house together. And in the past, I was 25, 26 years old. And in the past, I really never cooked. I thought I couldn't cook, and I thought I wasn't good at it. And I think I was just in the wrong environment. So once I got into the right environment and a healthy home, a healthy environment, I was, mentally really, really comfortable. It brings out the best in a person. So I actually discovered my passion and my love for cooking at an older age. And from that, when I started to cook for my husband and then my family, as my family grew, I started to share. And I would share these posts on, social media. And as you know, like the food pictures was really popular, at a certain and so people started to just follow my page, and naturally they started to ask me for my recipes. And again, I don't really write recipes, and I don't care to, just because I want to be given 100 different ingredients and leave me alone. Let me figure this out, and let me do whatever I want with this. So I'm really all about creativity, cooking with my heart. So it actually came to me. I actually went to school for nursing. So I was in the health field for a long time. And I guess the medical and like the health in general was something interesting to me. And then my passion for food combined with that together helped me grow as a chef. And so I didn't go to culinary school. I wish I would have, but I am one of those entrepreneurs who's like straight to action, straight to business, no time for school or anything.
Well, mashallah, you've started a school. You've started a following with your social media. You've turned it into a business. You got people coming into your kitchen. The one thing you're telling me this morning that I'm learning is don't have an interview about food when you haven't had breakfast. So, so I'm really getting anxious to try some of your foods. Tell me about the food that you make. What's your favorite dish? What are your favorite ingredients?
Sure. So my favorite dish to make is an eggplant parmesan. I love eggplant, and I've actually been able to have people who didn't like eggplant are now eggplant lovers. They just love it because of the way that I prepare it. And the reason I love eggplant parmesan, I know you're getting hungry. The reason I love making it is it's therapeutic for me. It has so many steps involved. So from, sweating the eggplant to in the Italian breadcrumbs and the egg and the flour and the Parmesan cheese. There's like techniques involved, and so during the process of cooking it, it's enjoyable, it's fun to make, and the results are really amazing. So that's my signature dish, the eggplant Parmesan over angel hair pasta. It's my favorite one to make, but I'm very open to mixing different cuisines together, so they call it fusion foods. So sometimes I might mix a little bit of Chinese and Mexican in a special way that ends up being an amazing. All halal, yes.
Halal.
All halal, of course. Yeah, so all our food is halal. I mean, I've never eaten non-halal. I never did. So that's just the way I'm used to. I really can't tell you otherwise.
This is wonderful to hear. So when your clients come in and they cook some of their food, they try some of their own creations, right? Yeah. What are some of the experiences they have or the reactions?
Well, let me give you an example. Let's say we're making like sauce from scratch. You can, you like in the marinara. Some people might add like extra basil or extra thyme or extra rosemary, whatever they want. So we actually try to, garlic, the onion, the different seasonings. So they end up making, like, let's say their own marinara sauce, and then we all taste test each other's, and like, they get excited to see the differences and to see what kind of flavors come out of, getting creative. At the end of the day, they always love mine the most, so what can I say?
Proud of what
But I
you do.
try to teach them different techniques. I always say, if you're going to use the garlic, this is what we're going to do, this is how you're going to chop it, you're going to slice it, and you're going to saute it in extra virgin olive oil. So I kind of give them tips and tricks, and then I let them go on their own,
So you know what you're talking about. You can feel the love in what you do, and that obviously comes into the work that you do. And, I'm a trainer by trade, so when you talk about the steps and how you're engaging people, I think that's really important because you turn it into an experience. When particularly, let's say clients or corporate clients come to you, do you have certain outcomes that you set for them? When you say when you go away today, is it just that they learn to make a dish, or do they learn something about themselves with Zee the Cook?
It is crazy, let me tell you. When we have the corporate events at the studio with all adults, it's competitive, it is exciting. They're laughing at each other, they're really bringing out the child in themselves, I guess, around each other, whereas in the workplace, everyone has to be so serious. So I've even had like a principal at a school come with her staff, and then they could never speak to her at the school. And it was so funny to hear them admit that. And she was laughing about it too. So to see those connections being made and to see them, not really, it's like, again, it's not just about the food, it's about the social experience. What is cooking together going to bring out in you, So it's funny because they'll laugh at each other again, or they'll actually, tell one another, oh my God, that is so awesome. Like, they encourage each other, they support each other, they laugh at each other. Like, it's a really fun, lively thing. And I always start all my team building events with a challenge, like a small challenge. So if we're making, let's say, 3 entrees, one of the entrees will be a challenging entree to where everyone's making that same dish but in a different way. And then we judge it at the end of the party. So everyone gets that energy going, that competitive
competition, feeling. Right?
Oh yeah. So
you mentioned a studio. So do you work out of your home? Do you have a studio? Is it a separated place?
So my studio is actually a building, and it used to be demolished completely from the ground up and remodeled myself. So I put my heart into the decor, into the interior of the studio. Before I had the studio, I actually used to do private lessons from home. And my students, when I actually announced to them that I had a building, because I had saved up over the years, they were actually upset. They didn't want to leave my house. And when I felt that coming from them, I was like, wait a minute, I thought you were going to be excited for me, but they love that homey feeling. So what I did was I used my building to make it very homey. So when you walk into the studio right away, you don't feel like you're in a commercial building. You feel like you're in a home. You feel like there's so much love there. Even the kitchen itself is a residential style kitchen with like 3 stoves. There's hoods, but it's still the cabinets and the stoves and the hoods. It's all very homey. It's not like those huge, commercial equipment that you'd be like scared to see. It's really, really homey. And so that's where I operate from. There are times, being a mom, that I have to work from home, whether it's, from my laptop or preparing things for my website, answering emails. That would happen at home. But for the majority of the time, I execute at the building, and I host my cooking shows at the building, and I meet with clients at the building.
So, Zee, mashallah, you're a professional, you're an entrepreneur, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're the CEO of your company. So this is great. What message do you have for I'm not going to say for other Muslim women or young girls? You have taught me so much today about being an independent person, an entrepreneur. So what message do you have for anyone about going with your dream and believing in what you do, whether you're Muslim or not, whether you're a woman or a girl or a boy or a man? Your message is universal.
Yeah, 100%. And before I answer that question, if you don't mind, I'm going to say that, in the beginning of my business, I feel like a lot of people in the community who were not Muslim, I think they perceived me or the building too, as just being a Muslim place, because they've seen the owner wears a scarf. Maybe in their minds it's like, oh, she's only open to other Muslims, or she's only taking Muslim students. So I can't explain specifically how I felt it, but over time during certain, let's say, workshops or community things that where I would see non-Muslims, you can kind of feel like they thought that way. So what I did was I created like a commercial. I created my website. I put up posts to explain Zee the Cook is a diverse business. We are open to all religions, all races. I'm very respectful of that, and I actually love learning about other people. So I would hope that other people would love to learn about me as well. So till this day, when we have corporate companies like reaching out to me and making special requests or whatever it is, it always has to come back down to being respectful of other people and other people being respectful of my beliefs as well. And so as it, you can always make that work, So just because you are a Muslim who owns a business, it doesn't define just that business through, you know what I mean? And I'm proud at the same time, but at the same time, you really want to just be like any other business, right?
Our message is not just for Muslims, and we're in the business of being profitable, so we want as many people to come to us as possible.
Exactly, and we're going to be as creative as we can to just be known in nationwide, let's say, that this is just the company. It's not about Zee, it's about this company. What has she created? What has she made, So I just wanted to kind of say that. Now, in regards to advice, honestly, the most important thing is perseverance, not giving up. There's going to be a lot of challenges. There's going to be a lot of, your family and your work kind of clashing. My kids and my husband, it actually took them a long time to adjust to this phase in my life. It's not easy, and all you can do is comfort that person and hope for them to eventually come around. And for me, like with my husband, for example, I never wanted him to feel like it's business or family. I want them to feel like family and business are together. We're one team. We're all together on this journey, and we're going to grow together. So there's not like this against this, So my advice to any person who's trying to start up a business, or you have a family, or you're a mompreneur, they call them mompreneur, / entrepreneur, try your best to let your family feel your vision and why you are doing this. When they feel the depth of why you're doing what you're doing, they will want to be on board with you. They will want to support you, And there's still times until today, like I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, and there's still times till today that, you'll feel the family tension. So that's the hardest, I would say, is juggling both. But try to do it all together. Don't give up. Persevere. Get through your challenges. And the harder you work, the luckier you get. Okay, so just remember, luck will come, but you got to work hard, and you have to really, really show that you're passionate about what you're doing. Like for me, honestly, I walk into the door, it's never been about the money. It's never been about the business income or growing. It's always just been seriously, and I'm not trying to say, like, I know a lot of motivational speakers say this, but it's just, I really do love to see my students smile. I love to see them, and talk to them and socialize with them and see how they're doing and see how I'm so blessed to be in so many other families' lives. You know what I mean? Like the name Zee the Cook comes up at their dinner table. Like that's amazing to me, So to be able to influence others and to affect them in an amazing way is what keeps me going. And so when I get that feedback from my clients, like the reviews that they leave on Google, the reviews they leave on Facebook, it really empowers me to keep going.
Well, you use a common thread to spread that positivity. So it comes across in your passion, it comes across in your work, and, whatever religion you have, I know in the Christian faith, it's believed that you break bread together, right? And in Islam, there's a decorum for how you sit at the table, how you engage your guests. You're the first to sit and you're the last to leave. So it really is, there's a beauty and there's a love around sharing food with people. And you've been able to do that in something that you love, and it brings your family together. You've turned it into a business. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you've also been featured on television, and I know you're great on social media. I want to ask you about that in a minute. But tell me about some of the success points that you've had in taking your message to a larger audience.
Sure. So, I've been able to reach, companies like Waste Management. They have over 45,000 employees across United States. And, all the leaders who've never been to Michigan all got together in Detroit for, conferences, and they decided to come to Zee the Cook for a team building event. I thought that was amazing. I was able to actually, now that we're speaking about it, they were shocked to see me in a scarf. They were shocked that when they walked in, the owner wore a scarf and she was a Muslim girl. They were like beyond shocked, honestly. exactly. And you
But
could
they
feel
forgot that after a while, didn't they?
Let me tell you, they walked in really tense, and I know they're all going to be watching this if we're posting it, and they're going to actually probably most likely agree with me that I felt the tension because what they hear out there in the media and what they hear out there in the news is not always a good light on the Muslim community. So they were really kind of hesitant. Some of them didn't even take off their jackets, and I was like, "Oh no, no, no! We are gonna destroy this. We are going to." Oh yeah, I'm gonna change this around. So with my bubbly personality, my exciting, atmosphere, I was so like adamant about changing their minds about how they were feeling. I was able to turn them around, I think within a half hour of them actually sitting in the kitchen, watching me demonstrate, seeing how positive and happy I was. And all of a sudden you can feel their tension start to lessen and they started to relax more. And by the time they left the building after the team building event, it was amazing because it's like they all wanted to hug me,
Created relationships with these people. Authentic human connections.
Yeah, and they've never been to Dearborn. Like some of them, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're leaders or they're in upper management and waste management, but I don't think they've been really aware or exposed to, Muslims, face to face and doing stuff with them. So I think they left with a little less feeling
awesome.
or discomfort. And so for me, it was amazing. So with waste management, that was awesome. And all the teams still talk about it until today across the board. And then the media, Channel 4 has come to our studio and filmed us cooking with the police. So I have a really great relationship with the police departments here. The firefighters are coming to cook with the kids in 2 weeks at the studio. So we actually have 2 sessions
with us, of course.
Yeah, we will, I promise. And we just had a meeting and they wanted to know why I chose the police before them. So that was kind of funny. So everyone's getting kind of competitive about Zee the Cook. So I have the firefighters coming. I have a great relationship with the police officers. The newspapers have been amazing. They follow me. They follow my stories. They really just want to share what's going on. So yeah, so that exposure has really been amazing. And I, again, appreciate having you, interviewing me today.
Well, Zee, I'll tell you a bit about Practical Muslim because we're relatively new. We haven't even been around it's been several weeks, right? And the inspiration was there's a lot of wonderful Muslims everywhere. Muslims like you, mompreneurs, entrepreneurs, people making a difference,
working
hijabis,
hard,
not hijabis, visibly Muslims and Muslims who aren't visibly Muslim. My goal is to unother us, right? Now I'm using really elevated, lofty language, but the idea is we live here. We're part of the community. We're already engaged and we're giving back. And we want people to see us for who we are.
People need to see that. Yeah. People need to see that because they're not seeing the positive. They're not really always seeing how positive of an impact we're making and how open we are to them and to other religions and to other cultures. We aren't, these Muslims who are like, crazy about only Muslims. No, we love everyone. We want everyone to prosper from, our education and our background too, just like we would be welcoming to, to see their views and to see their businesses flourish.
And I think you mentioned this at the beginning. I didn't catch it, but you said your parents were originally from Lebanon.
Yeah.
So your parents are Lebanese Americans. You're an American Muslim. You associate with all this diversity. You bring that. You bring it in your food. You've got fusion cooking. You talk about Chinese, Mexican, right?
Italian, French.
Exactly. So the love of what you do, the love of food, the universality of Islam, the universality of we all need to eat and eat good food. And food that's halal. And these days they talk about mindfulness. They talk about good meat or organic, right? Well, we're already providing that in an Islamic kitchen. We're already providing, thinking about what you do.
Usually it's part of our culture and religion to be that way. So it's like we can teach the Food, Drug, and Administration a few things ourselves, you just reminded me, somebody at the City Hall, I would say a year ago, they were like, oh, so do you only teach Middle Eastern food? And I was like, no, because again, they see the scarf, they see that I'm a Muslim woman, they might assume it's just Arabic food or, Middle Eastern food that I'm teaching. No, I said, we teach all kinds of foods, all different cuisines, Italian food than I do, Middle Eastern food. It just depends, So yeah, it's really nice to educate. I think educating people is the most important thing. They won't know otherwise.
And people can learn more about Zee. You've got a website, you've got YouTube videos, we're going to share with our listeners and our viewers, and as well as people visiting Practical Muslim. So for those of you that don't know about us yet, we're www.practicalmuslim.org. We're sharing great stories about the Muslim experience, reclaiming the Muslim narrative, and talking to wonderful people like Zee the Cook, Zee Shami, who brings the love of cooking and working with others and being engaged as a Muslim in the wider community, so that when you see Zee, you may be looking at a Muslim, but when you talk to Zee after a few minutes, you realize she's probably no different than your neighbor. She probably is your neighbor. So,
Exactly.
Zee,
Exactly.
before we end the call this morning, what is your one great love about what you do? If you had to summarize it for us, what
Yeah.
is your inspiration and why you get up every morning to go and do your work?
The one great love for what I do again is connecting with people, making a difference in other people's lives. Was younger that something in my life was going to happen. I was like 16 years old, and I remember thinking to myself, subhanallah, that something's going to happen in my life when I'm 30, and I even had a specific number, subhanallah. And it did happen when I was 30, by the way. It happened like when I was 30 is when Zee the Cook was created, but and Zee the Cook wasn't really created by me. It kind of came into my life. It took over my life, and it happened towards the end of my age 30. And I remember saying to myself during that age, nothing really is happening this year. Nothing exciting like I thought when I was a teenager that at 30 something was going to happen. And it ended up happening like October of my 30, my birthday's in December. So right before my 31st birthday is when this whole thing, came alive. And so I've always felt in my heart and in my conscience at a young age that when I'm older, I'm going to make a difference in other people's lives. And then now here I am. I didn't know this is the way I was going to do it, but my personality, thank God, I have a lot of energy to give, and I have a lot of love to give, and a lot of positive energy. So being able to give it through food, it has been beyond like amazing. So that's my motivation every day.
And if I walked away today and I wanted to talk to people and say, hey, I've met somebody who's making a difference. What message do you want me as one of your clients who comes to your workshops to take away and share with new people who want to learn about Zee and what you're doing?
I guess a lot of my clients, I'm going to have to use their quotes because it's hard to talk about myself in that way. But, Zee's energy, Zee's energy is contagious. And that, I'm really striving hard to bring a lot of happiness and positivity into other people's lives. And that I'm just a really hard worker. I'm proud of that. I'm a workaholic, but yeah, so something.
Well, you
something
get to savor the fruit of your labor, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So
thank you.
Zee, I would love to thank you and your
Please
family.
come to Dearborn and come enjoy the studio. We'd love to have you, and you can even be on my show. That would be amazing.
That's wonderful. And we're going to share the links to how people can connect with you on social media, to your website, and how people can actually get in touch with you to book events, right? And to learn more about Zee. And so we're really excited that you've allowed Practical Muslim to be part of your day and your experience. We look forward to touching base with you every once in a while when you have stories to share. And thank you for doing what you do. On behalf of Practical Muslim, from me, I just want to say to you that you're making a difference. And as a Muslim to another Muslim, as a person living in the West to another person living in the West, I give you much praise. And I say you're doing it gracefully. You're creating relationships that are authentic, that are helping us become normal people. And I think at the end of the day, when we look at what's going on in the politics right now and some of the lack of acceptance in different communities, you're bringing two great things. You're bringing a message about love and being connected, and hey, at the same time, enjoy some good food. So thank you, Zee.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I'm going to take a picture of us together so I can post that. You will be posting this soon. So smile for everyone.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for having me. And you know what? I just thought of something. Can I just say it really quick?
Of course.
I think it's actually the main thing of this whole interview, and sometimes things really come up, at the end, As a Muslim, it's our responsibility and duty to do what we can to help others that are in need. And I really felt like without money, I wouldn't really be able to do that as much as I do right now, let's say authentically through my cooking. So using that money that I've been making and saving and trying, the reason I'm really, really trying to get big is, like I said about that vision in my mind, like I've always had this vision that I could help people who, let's say, don't even have water, like making a well. I know like in Africa, for example, you can purchase like this special land where you pay a certain amount of money and you provide a well to a whole village. And like that's one of my biggest dreams. And I remember even telling my family, and they were just like, oh my God, like we never knew that, we never knew that was on your mind. And that's something that's always on my mind. And I'm really, really working hard to be able to be that effective. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like doing what I love, it brings me joy. And then connecting with people, it brings me joy. But when I can actually use that fund, or that money that comes in to finally be effective in like making a big difference, like that's when I'll feel like, wow, everything I've worked so hard to do is finally paying off. You know what I mean? So yeah, as a Muslim, I think we're taught to do that, and this is my way.
Thank you very much, Zee.
Thank you. You reminded
me. For
me.
the interview.
Thank you.